Excellent.
Normally give, first few moments to just banter about and anybody who's a stranger to the chat to get through the pre-roll ads because Twitch loves those pre-roll ads, huh?
Yep.
Ay, ay, ay.
I've still
But,
found
oh,
that pre-roll ads always end up being like either you're throwing them in the middle of all the action or everyone just has pre-rolls. It's like there's no in between.
yep, yep. Just ad interrupting everything, huh? Throwing off the tempo if it pops in.
Yep.
Ay,
Yep.
ay, ay. But looks like it's all up and running. We've passed around the 45-second mark, so without much further ado, welcome everybody to Big Squeak Inc. Interviews Episode 9. We have the lovely guest today to be Sarah, or Sarah Raven Victoria, as you'll find her link.
Hello.
She is a big inspiration of mine, and a lot of the reason why so many of the things I do on stream work, because she has given me a good amount of tech information to help that out.
You say big inspiration, but then you end up dropping me down in the tininess. So I'm not sure if the big inspiration part is a metaphor or literal.
Tiny Sarah can be an inspiration to all. We could go with the metaphorical big for now, but we had the talk. You had the option to literally big, huh?
Yeah, true enough.
True enough, huh? But as always, I'm your host, Saru, and our usual co-host today, Cloudy, across the table, makes an appearance as well.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. So, well, it's already been, called out in chat as well by 4. Yep, Tiny Sarah indeed. Back when I was first making that type of comment and joke in your chat, I did not expect this to eventually lead to, yes, Tiny Sarah on the interview table with me. Ay. It certainly goes places, huh? You never know where things are gonna go.
Honestly, it's one of the best parts of streaming is just adapting to things and just going with the flow. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of improvisation, where you just, you never deconstruct something. You never deny something. You kind of look at it and see what paths it can take and go from there.
Fair enough. I know there's occasionally something that is like, okay, I just have to shut it down, but some of the stuff, you just roll with the punches like, well, there was a recent conversation before this, Cloudy, that, pants lore.
Yep.
Wait.
So, to give you the context as well, apparently with my model, there's technically pants, because if I were to, black legs and all that, black leggings, but when Cloudy there was looking at the model and experimenting a little, he discovered that's not actually clothes, that's just the texture. So for the longest time, it's just been like, oh, pants lore.
So you've got painted on pants. So you've got
apparently,
pants,
I have paint pants.
Yep, 100%.
Oh, I mean, you save in laundry. You got half bills on that one. So I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I gotta replace the paint sometime, right? Like, I gotta shower?
Well, yeah, I mean, unless it's like Plasta Dip, unless you're like dipping yourself in that, the vehicle coating, then you just tear it off and then it's. But I don't think you want to live like that.
Oh, jeez. Custom paint job, it basically doubles as waxing the legs. That sounds painful.
Yeah.
Ay.
I can tell you. Wax. Yeah.
Jeez. But yeah. When something does come up like that, figure out what you can do to roll with it, and if it's just something you ain't comfortable with at all, then you say, oh no, and slap it down sometimes. But
Good. Yeah.
Yep. So, while we're in this small talk early phase and bantering, looking at the table, just for context, since I always do this each interview, gives a height estimate, and I'd say, depending on how we're estimating, you're probably around what, 6
Be
inches tall?
conservative. Be conservative.
Is it conservative? You know, I was thinking,
Sure, it's not. It's aim for. Okay, I guess
You know-
6 works. I mean, at least you didn't go for the 4 or the 2.
Yeah,
the-
I was thinking like, okay, you could probably, stand up and put up a fight to a water bottle or a soda bottle, depending on the context. So, you know, you got some inches at least. You're not. We had to guess that was like 3 inches tall. So you're definitely out hiding some
3.
of them. Yeah, 3.
3.
Although, they did also get into some of the drink small bottle we had on set. And you see that microphone in front of you?
Yeah.
They
One of my.
Yeah, they
What's up
were small enough they were kind of standing on that after that incident, so they've definitely been smaller.
I'm trying to think because this microphone doesn't seem like it fits. Well, I mean, this is a nice size microphone and one that it's got quality. It's got quality and it's got life, but I'm not sure about the standing on it. I don't think structurally this looks that
Yeah,
like this really doesn't look that stable. I'm sorry to say, like you're
But-
gonna have a little bit of trouble with it.
when you're, measuring your height in millimeters, it doesn't matter too much how stable something is if it already holds any weight, huh?
When your day-to-day drinking bottle holds molecules, not water drops, I think you got a problem.
Yeah, probably. Definitely, huh? Ay. Let's see. Looks like we got a bunch of people popping up in chat. So, hello, everybody. Make sure to check out Sarah at some point during this and drop that follow if you haven't already. Although, I know most of you already know Sarah by now.
If not, I'm so sorry.
Come on.
You get to learn who I am. I swear. I
Hey,
apologize.
you're amazing to be around. Don't apologize. You are you, and I would not have anybody else on set right now.
Down to me just walking off like,
Oh no. Sarah, exit
Time
stage
to go.
left. Oh no. Sarah, please. Alright. I think that was a good bit of banner time to start it off. So I'm going to get into a couple of the starting questions. This question I always start with for these, first and foremost, is who is Sarah? Could you give us a quick introduction to yourself and what you do or what you'd like to share about yourself?
So me personally, Sarah, the Sarah, the one that is the one behind the model, I would say is I'm Sarah and Victoria. I've been streaming back and forth on Twitch for probably I'd say about 3.5 to 4 years. 3 years? 4 years? I can't remember when I started, to be honest. It feels like so many years ago. And I kind of just have I'm an enjoyer of video games, purveyor of video games, you could say. And also a lot of technology. For me, personally, I love technology. There's so many different things that we have in the world that are brought to us by electronics that I just kind of get really excited when I think about it. But yeah, in terms of me as Sarah the streamer, it's been several years, and I've seen a lot of things go on. I've seen a lot of very, very weird things over the years.
Oh no.
So, and that includes a long time ago with the ecosystem of Twitch. I mean, I wasn't an original. For me, it was like 2016 on, I think. And I wish I still had the videos, but unfortunately I lost all the videos that I had years ago with a data, like a hard drive loss. That's why I now do a lot more with that. But yeah, in terms of Sarah, the not streamer, I live my life day to day with my friends, Really, I love going to each of the Discords and just enjoying everything, enjoying life. Lots of time on VR chat, lots of time on I spend more time online than I do anywhere else. So, and that's just because everyone's so amazing, and I love learning more about people.
Yeah, it's certainly amazing how many people you can connect to online and how far
Yep.
away everybody winds up being when you actually go like, hey, oh, we got people across the globe everywhere. Oh no.
It has been absolutely incredible. The internet is probably the single best thing that has ever happened to me, considering that I have friends from we've got friends in like Western states in California, Seattle, Oregon, all the way like Eastern states with uh, Virginia and Kentucky and south down all the way to North Carolina and Florida. And then we continue all the way down to like Brazil and Argentina, and then all the way to the east over to the Europe, where we start seeing Ireland, Scotland, Britain, lots of places of France, and continuing all the way down to even like Georgia, and then all the way into even places like Japan and Taiwan and China and a couple others. So it's just like crazy. It's been amazing.
Yeah. The web of connections just goes completely out of control once you get the internet
Yeah.
involved because it's just people being people and not like neighbors being neighbors.
Yep. There's no restriction on distance anymore. Gone are the days where having somebody beyond 100 miles or 160 kilometers is just not even a thing. Now we're just like, it was just like, it's each part that we had technology adapt. We see more and more things just change. Distance becomes irrelevant when the phone became a thing and when cars became, day to day. Now we have the internet, and the internet makes it where now it's worldwide. What next, right?
That's a big question. What next?
I know you reach, and you already see further than we can. But I mean, other than that, for us tiny folk,
Yeah.
we understand that there's a bit of a. You gotta understand. We see the horizon. We don't see past the horizon. Okay?
Maybe I should open up Big Mouse Postal Services and get that express delivery going for people,
Yeah.
right? Just
Start shipping. Do it cheap. Do it cheap. Do
yeah,
it squeak
yeah.
cheap. Okay.
Oh, squeak cheap,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, just reach over to city. Okay, here's the bundle I need to deliver, and delivery's done.
Yeah, you can do the data travel too. Data transit. I mean, remember the whole side of nothing's faster than a box of hard drives bouncing in the back of
Oh
a chassis.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just got to make sure it's all downloaded, and I just deliver it. Yeah, big squeak delivery. Oh lord, that's a heck of an idea you brought up.
Throughput is chef's kiss.
Yeah. So that was a good bit about you, both on stream side and not stream side. But, and regarding the model that you're behind, I believe that's a character that you've named Nyx, I believe, off the top of my head.
Yep.
Yeah. So is there a story going on with Nyx or anything like that?
So this character you see me is so yeah, let me do it in character. So the character I have is Nixaya. She is an ice slime elemental. Basically book Libra. She is herself a living book. And she's found in one of the great library, interdimensional library. Her whole story, I get kind of embarrassed explaining the story sometimes. So, the be all and end all is she's one of a set of magic infused books, classified under the world entailed. So, I would definitely want to explain a bit more of it, but I kind of just, I get a little shy. Okay,
That's fair enough.
My story is long and my story is deep, but I don't want to have to bore you with the details as I see.
All right, well, taking that brief pause, we did get a raid, so hello all the raiders. Welcome to Big Squeak Inc. interviews, where today we're interviewing Sarah, the lovely guest that we have on the table here. So it is going to be all about them and chatting about them. And Big Squeak Inc. is a silly thing I do to allow people to be giant or tiny and share their stories. So today we're going to be listening to a lot of what Sarah says, and now with that little aside, back to actually responding. Yeah, it's understandable. There's a lot of times where people tell stories that they have a lot they want to say, but actually saying it's rough. So if you want to
Yeah, of course.
interject anything about it, then just bring it up at any point for any transition. Feel free to, but don't feel pressured to. You do what you want to
Yeah.
do.
In terms of Nyx's, in terms of the books of Nyx, the 14 of them, I've always wanted to kind of like expand upon them. And at some point, I want to kind of start detailing out the other books.
Oh.
There are 13 other books like her, but I kind of haven't really designated all of them. Besides her Phoenix sister and a few others. Because she's technically the 7th book. So the first to the 6th and the 8th to the 14th, I still haven't disclosed to anyone.
Okay.
But who knows? Eventually, I'd like to kind of start delving into that. But I think that's years away. I don't think I'm going to go too deep into that.
That
yet.
sounds like something that you could do as you please and expand out in your free time to just enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh Lord,
These
that
days-
sounds expansive.
Yeah, it gives me honestly, as an aside, kind of having some sort of universe that you can work within.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting. Once you start crafting the universe that your character may exist in, whether it's an extension of reality itself or its own reality, it's the best of both worlds because you end up having it where you're restricted because you have to work within the bounds of the framework that you've made.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have the freedom to expand upon it as you please. And the thing I've always looked at is there is no such thing as like, how do I say this? There is no such thing as copied stuff because the idea is that like you've got your own personal viewpoint of it created, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my biggest fears with anything that we've made is I've always been afraid of, oh, well, you did this thing, but that's actually in detail to like, okay, so for instance, if you look at my like wings and stuff like that, or clothing and stuff like that, each of these are things that you could look at and say, okay, well, like, oh, you've got an arm here and that arm is ice, but oh, well, I've seen this other person and they have, their right arm or so is ice as well, or it's a asymmetrical design. And that's a copy. But the thing is that what do you see with your character? What do you experience with your character? How is your character yours? How is your character like? Don't do it because you like the design and you like what it exhibits. Don't look at it as, oh well, it's this design specifically, is copied these. No. Like anything, like for instance, everything becomes an evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if you look at my face, I think it's on the side. Uh, Basically right there, that tattoo has been a part of my design for, I would say, since I started using an avatar on stream. I've had that design probably since Ferris, which is the one I used about 3 years ago, I think.
Will that be the one that I first got introduced to your streams on with the hair fading in colors in all direction and
Yep.
all that? Oh.
The dual phase sinusoidal hair. The one that was like a rainbow hair?
Oh yeah, that hair. That was like sometimes during streams I would just get entranced by it, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. I miss it, but it also is kind of like it was her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking there was a time where I thought about using that shader because I created that shader by myself back then. It was back when I was getting into shader work because I was using Shader Forge and I was learning how a shader works, and I created that on a whim because I was like, oh well, I could use textures, but what if I make like the color change depending on a sinusoid where it goes like back and forth, and what if I did that with like 2 of them so it made like a full rainbow spectrum, and then what if I did that, so it ended up being where it was like dependent on the Y, dependent on the like shaders work differently. Shaders work with X and Y, but they're based in material space, not in like physical space. So they're based on U and V, where like U is the X and V is the Y, basically.
Okay.
And so I depended on the U and V based on time, and that's when I made that. So Ferris's hair shader is hers. I don't use it on anyone else. There is one that I did use later down the line, which is one that I've used on multiple. I've had multiple characters, like in VR chat and stuff. I've had multiple characters. I've had Ferris was the first one I made, which is the Ferris Gale. She's the one with the bikini and the rainbow hair. There was SV. She was made later, which is she has a special type of horizon shader. Basically, like as you tilt, it's always dependent on the horizon. Proto V also has the same one, and then I think Nyx is the other one I was using, which is this one. But this one I decided to just go with transparencies rather than a full on hair shader that goes crazy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
This one's craziness is more in her eyes. Because she actually I would move. Let me double check this just a sec. Ooh, I can move.
You can move.
I can move. Okay, so I don't want to move too much because my wings will start getting in the spot, but my eyes are actually triple irises. So the weird thing for me is my three irises in each eye can actually move independently. But normally I don't move them too much because I like to keep things consistent.
And for anybody who wants to get a better look at Sarah's eyes and check out the actual shenanigans going on with the triple irises, do check out their site at some point because they have a lot better zoom-ins than you're probably going to get during this interview. Because for now, yeah, just kind of trapped in the little tiny set for the moment, huh?
Yeah, somebody locked me to the floor. What you can't see is apparently somebody decided to put a ball and chain on my foot and think that was going to be helpful. Now, that being said, it doesn't really keep me here, but I like to keep the illusion of, success for them because, otherwise they would be judging me. So.
We don't normally capture our guests, but some of the elusive ones may need the little motivation to be around still, so...
I'm not feeling like shattering my leg just to reform it later, so I'm just going to keep it here.
Now, the secret they may not have been let on in is the ball and chain is actually just a bit of candy and string, but... Well...
I was wondering why it smelled like peppermint.
Yeah.
I thought it was somebody's perfume.
No, not perfume. That is actually just a peppermint, not a metal ball.
I'll be taking a look later. I mean a look, not a lick. You know what? We'll leave the options open.
You'll see what happens as it happens, huh?
Exactly.
Ay. Oh, I will say, I caught some of that as far as the technical talk goes. Like, I'm familiar with secondary coordinate systems with the U and V, like you were talking about. But I definitely haven't done any model work, so a lot of that shader talk flew over my head. You catch any of that, Cloudy?
I'll be honest, I'm still kind of new to the whole model work myself. Mainly because I'm still trying to learn.
Ay.
A lot. It's definitely a lot.
All I know is it sounded like a lot of impressive information. Is just I have no clue how to apply any of it.
And that's okay. One of the things that I have to point out with anyone is there's always that feeling of like, I can't do it because I can't do the end point. But with any skill that you're learning, the journey is the most important part. You've got an end point, which is the goal in mind, which keeps you striving to do it. But learning is a series of like little checkpoints that you get to have fun with at each step. And so the first thing you do with, let's say shaders and stuff is going to be seeing, put an image on a character and say one-to-one see what it is, or make it all a color and then make that color change with time or stuff like that. Like those are the fun things. And then as time goes on, you get to add more and more functionality and eventually start to make your own. Like that, like fully from scratch, all the code. I've never gotten there. I've done it with Shader Lab stuff, which is basically Unity's support engine, or support syntax. But one of these days, I know that there's Freya Hoyam is she's done absolutely phenomenal work. She worked on I think it was Shader Forge, and she also it's you can look her up at some point.
Okay. I might need that name typed down in some sort of chat to double check that as well, but I'd be interested. There's a lot you can't learn about if you don't play with stuff and, break it and fix it for a lot of things. See what works, see what don't. Alright. Let's see. I think that covers the two starting questions I had. Although, I did make a note here, apparently, to...
Note?
A small note to bring up the Tiny Sarah origin story.
Oh, that's that's an interesting one. God, where do we even start with that? Because so my memory gets really foggy at times.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how long ago was that? That was...
How long ago has it been since I popped up in your chat?
Well, I know that you've had, I think, like your 14th month in
That
my
sounds
stream.
about right.
So I would say probably about how long? 14 months? All right, you know what? I'm gonna do something weird.
Oh.
I am currently just gonna use an admin command and let me see.
Fair enough.
No, actually, it's been way longer. Way longer.
Wait, what?
So, I'm just gonna hit first message and see. Because I think, oh wait, no, I can't do first message. May 20th, 2019.
Hey. Yeah, that's been a
how
bit.
long that is.
That's been a bit.
It's been almost 23 months actually for that one. So, I would say it happened with Nyx. I'm pretty sure it started with Nyx because we started experimenting with so I think what ended up happening is no, it started with Ferris. No, it did start with Ferris.
I did think it started that early, yeah.
Yeah. So the start reason for it, my memory's starting to come back, finally, was that I used to stream with Suva.
Mm-hmm.
Suva's Stream Your Virtual Avatar. It's an application made by Garibo, and it is fantastic. He's been doing a lot of upgrades for it. So one of it is you put a tracking puck on your head, and you put a tracking puck on your wrists so you can walk around with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the side effects of that is that the perspective works really well. So if you walk away from the camera, your avatar shrinks proportionally. And so you walk away from the camera. So what I used to do is I used to have to get drinks and stuff like that, walk away, and I'll come back. Well, one of the side effects of that is that you'd see me strutting myself over there, all of a sudden you'd see me going like, here we go. And I would walk my way over, and I'd shrink down. And
me being who I am, yeah.
Saru decided to say, Tiny Sarah Adventures, and it stuck. It stuck very well.
Yeah.
It was one of those times where, and the thing, like I was saying when I first started in the stream, was that improvisation is a lot of go with the flow. If it's not destructive, be creative with it, right? And I found it funny at first, or like when I was going through the first moment it was said on stream, I was like, what the heck is this? And the thing was that because it always kept happening, it kind of just started to develop on its own. It developed the life on its own. So as time went on, we ended up uh I just made sure that anytime I walked away, I always made sure to have my set on. And so we ended up having Tiny Sarah adventures every time I went to the kitchen to get something, or, step away to the washroom or anything like that. Literally, you'd see my character, pop along, and then it would lose tracking at the end. And so that was, yeah, I would say that was many, many years ago. Like, probably, yeah, late 20, yeah, because May 2019. So I'd say I would say at that time, probably like even a month within that, like June 2019 or so. And it just continued from there. That's the reason why we also, when I found out about Cruise Control, which is basically the program that we use for automation of events through the Twitch API, I just decided to add that back in because I was like, you know what, I'm using VC Face, I'm using iPhone tracking, so
You can't quite have the walking off and just vanishing anymore.
exactly. So because of that, I decided to just kind of embrace it and continue using it. And to this day, I'm very thankful because it's one of those fun little things that just kind of evolves with anyone, right?
Yeah.
Evolves with your friendships, evolves with your stream. Like, it just, one of the biggest things I would say is just go with the flow. If it's not hurting you and if it's not hurting other people and it's fun and enjoyable, just go with it. Life's too short to be like, trying to make things a specific way or trying to, form an exact, like, that's, I think, one of the things. Rigidity in streaming will get you nowhere.
And I do have 2 comments following that story. First one, it was always a nice little thing to do while you were on the break as well, because you were walking away, you were doing something, you were away from the mic and the game couldn't move. So it was just something, okay, like, all right, I can, sound excited and, hype up chat a little during the break and just keep things rolling because, hey, Tiny Sarah's on screen, look at her go.
Yep. And people embraced it. People rolled with it very, very quickly.
The other thing is sometimes I do wind up feeling a little bit guilty of being like, yeah, I may have caused that particular joke to come into existence, and oops, sorry.
That's fine. there's no oops,
Oh,
hands,
please.
Yeah, no, my thing is overheating, I think. That's fine. But yeah, it's like you said, it's, yeah. Sorry.
No worries, no worries.
But yeah, and I think that's the thing, right? Like with any thing that goes on stream, community interaction, right?
Yep.
If your community is able to enjoy each other's company, you've succeeded above, I would say, the grand lion's share of streams out there. Your community being able to enjoy each other's messages, enjoy each other's company, and to embrace enjoying what's on screen and what's off is really, really important to me specifically. It's very important. So.
Yeah, there's certainly something nice about your regulars just being able to talk and have their, in-joke introductions to each other and all that. So, yeah, I certainly do agree with that. Let's see. Looks like moving on to the next category, we will be asking about your experience with streaming. So,
oh boy. So, do you want the long of this one? The everything of it streaming?
So
everything?
As much as you want to say is what I'd say. I normally ask for the big points. Are there any major experiences you had that positive or negative you'd like to share as the opening question?
So, back when I started. Okay, let's go. Let's roll the camera, or let's roll the time sheet back quite a bit. So when
All
I
the way back.
first got into streaming, I was doing it for like friends and like, just kind of like I just wanted to get out there and see what streaming's like and just experiment and do whatever I want with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me was a great way to get into it, right? Um, oh, sorry, I'm hearing echo. Um, so when I continued and sorry, I'm hearing an echo back. Sorry, no, I hear my voice back.
I'm not
So
sure where that's coming from, but I think I only hear one of you on my end.
okay. Yeah, it's fine now.
Okay.
So what happened for me was that I started streaming on my own, kind of just doing my thing because I was friends with a group that was doing it on a different channel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, friends of mine did an event that was doing stuff in like what was it called? How do I say it? It doesn't, the channel doesn't exist anymore.
Oh no.
Uh, they deleted it. They got, I think, sick and tired of stuff going on. But so I think it was called Friday Night Bad Manners, and the idea was they did StarCraft 2 streams and they did a couple other things. And so I was watching them stream and I was like, oh, that seems like a lot of fun. So, I'll stream too. And then, look with stuff like that. So like at the time, like again, 2016, 2017, it was, I think I was getting probably like, you get like 3 to 9 viewers and stuff like that. And the thing was, the big thing at the very beginning was that I had that number on my like board. So every time I looked at my dashboard, it was right there.
Yep.
And I can say right now, the first year or 2 years of streaming was a very different place for me. Because streaming, when you stream, if you're constantly focusing on the numbers and the in the moment changes, you're gonna stress yourself out frantically.
Yep.
I had jumped because I'd already, when I first started, I was playing variety games. Like I was just going everywhere, which is, anybody will tell you, variety games when you first start out is one of the hardest things to start out with.
Oh yeah.
Because there are many people that will watch games because they enjoy one specific game. And if you click with them, they enjoy you. So they stay for you. But getting to that point is tricky. So when I first started, I was playing games like any game that I felt like doing so. I think I played Dota 2 at some point on stream. I played PUBG, CSGO. I did a lot of like FPSs and stuff like that. And I don't know, it was a very stressful time in my life. I was doing 8-hour streams at times. I was, going crazy, 12 hours here. And it just drove me insane. After about 2 years, after about a year and a half or so, I started to realize, I was like, why am I looking at the number? So I turned the number off and my health immediately went better. So for about 2017, 2018, 2019, I started to kind of like, and I was using webcam back then, like a long time ago. And one thing I can tell you is that having a webcam was one of the hardest things for me to do, because every time somebody would come in, there would always be some remark. Like you'd either get people lurking or you get people that are making remarks about the webcam. Nothing really about you, or like just being harassment. So I eventually, I think it was in 2019.
Yeah.
It was, so 2018 was when I first got into VR chat, which meant that I started to learn how to make how to Frankenstein models and how to edit models in Blender. And then how to work Unity to upload them and stuff like that. So at that point, I was learning a lot very quickly about how to edit models and do stuff like that. So about the end of 2018 is when I started to kind of like, I got into the model that you first saw, Ferris Gale. And that's when I started to do my streaming kind of like, I can't remember the date that Suva released, but I ended up finding out about Suva from Shima. Whom a friend of mine, and she was basically saying, hey, there's this new application. It allows you to take your VR chat avatar and just use it to do streams. And I was like, wait, what? All of a sudden it was my freedom. It was my ability to just use it And again, this would have been early 2019, late 2018.
Yep.
Because I think it came out in like, I'm pretty sure like Suba was out like late 2018 or early 2019. So I started using it, and it was freedom. Like it just I started streaming my games. I started having fun. I had my avatar there, and I started to stably like do Sundays. I think every Sunday I was trying to stream, and like I was doing other days, but like Sundays were my big day, and that's I think when I started doing Sunday recovery stream. And the reason I started doing Sunday recovery stream is because my work was it was software engineering, but it was stressful. It was avionics, like aerospace kind of thing. So it was just like every week I'd come home Friday, blasted, like completely wrecked emotionally. So I'd end up just drinking on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'd be like, okay, I need to prepare for the next week, so I'm just gonna play games and just relax and enjoy and relax, like just rest up, and it became a thing, right? Sunday recovery
Yeah.
streams for me just became a staple of every single week that I did stream on a Sunday. That would be that.
Day to get your mood
Um,
back.
exactly. So about, I want to say, I don't remember the first time I did, but I used to play point and click adventure games with my friends, and like when I was younger, like when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up wanting to play them again. So I decided, but I was like, there's not really that many of them. So I ended up looking at it and saying, okay, what if I did one a month? When would I do that? Well, I stream on Sundays. Okay, let's do it the first Sunday of every month. And that's when I started doing Point and Click Adventure Day.
Yep.
And I'm very thankful for doing it because honestly, it's been a chance to go back, enjoy those games, play games I never played before, play new games that are coming out that are point and click, like the White Jedi game ones, or some of the ones from like Deponia. The studio does Deponia and stuff like that,
Yeah, a
and other
couple of the
ones.
recent ones you played.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so basically that was kind of where I got a lot of it. Just evolved from what I felt that I didn't enjoy, and walking away from those and kind of looking more towards what I did enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, of course, my health took a bit of a spin in the last year, so
Yeah.
I ended up not streaming for long periods of time, and I kind of feel bad about that. But personal health is a big thing. Um, and I'm hoping now to kind of get my health in check and start streaming again more regularly. So that's been my everything. um, I wish I could see my old streams again, like, keep have the videos and stuff, but as it is, I have I actually have a backup drive with, I think I've started like locally recording a lot of my stuff, and that ended up leaving me with uh probably like 1.5 TB of videos. So a bit of a
Oh
problem,
yeah.
small
Those
tiny large hard drive.
a lot of hard drive. Oh lord.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know that as somebody who was a regular viewer, getting less view around was like, well, it's a shame, but also her health is important. And just like how you would say to any of the viewers, hey, if there's hard times, you don't have to support me, you don't have to throw those subs. I hope as enough of us turned around and said, hey, take care of yourself. You're the important part here. We don't just need you to be, Streambot27. We care about you. Take care of yourself.
Exactly. And
So,
I appreciate that immensely because honestly, it's very easy to fall into the mindset of like grind culture of just, I need to do this now. I need to,
yep.
continue doing this forever. And you can burn yourself out. You can harm your health. You can do a lot of things. And honestly, people are way more appreciative if you've taken care of yourself, taken care of your health, and come back and stream healthily and happily. Because you don't want to get into a bad habit of sacrificing yourself for the moment, every moment.
Yeah. You want to just stay healthy, stay alive, and really, when you're in pain or in, an awful situation, you don't get to put your best foot forward, even if you do try. And that's going to be a feedback loop of awful, which is,
Exactly.
ugh. I am still amazed that I managed to get in contact with so many people during April when my wisdom teeth were literally burrowing into other teeth. That was
Yeah,
that was not not happy times.
I can definitely say after having to go through at least 2 major surgeries in my life, not fun at all having to recover and do things for it. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does make sense, and it sounds like, especially over your time here at Twitch and streaming, you've gone through quite a bit of things.
yeah.
Let's see. And I believe, Cloudy, you have a few questions jotted down. Do any of them fit into
Um,
here?
Honestly, let me see if I got them in my notes. Hold on, I gotta grab the notepad real quick. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Because I can. I do want to ask though. Do you remember a lot of what was Twitch back then before like all it blew up? I guess what it is now. I guess.
So back when I was first kind of going through stuff, again, this was back before affiliates, so back before, it was during the time when like you normally only really heard about partners, uh, with like, the partners that were like the 200 plus up like viewership
Yeah.
kind
I
of
think I
things.
recall an old
This,
standard of like 500 plus to apply.
yes, it was
Yeah.
very high up. So, what ended up happening was back then, most of the time when I saw streams and participated in them, you'd normally just see, the only really big streams I used to watch back then, unfortunately, was like Awesome Games Done Quick and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, or so I was into like I was in a phase where I was watching speedrunners and stuff like that. So that was a large chunk of what I used to see. Um, but yeah, back then the dynamic was very different. There was kind of like this idea of you stream and you're how would I say this? There was it was a very big divide. I find that like you don't like it was like upper echelon was the partners kind of thing like that, and then you just kind of like work at whatever and just you know you stream and you hope your numbers get you stream and
Yeah.
you work with the community and whatever and you just go with the flow. I guess it was.
Yeah.
Um, nowadays it seems like it's all kind of been monetized to hell and back. I felt that like one of the things I've seen a lot of is the big push for people to be like, "Hey, big subs. Hey, September? Oh, September. Oh yeah, big subs.
Oh no.
Um,
Yeah.
hey, oh yeah, let me hit push for partner, push for partner, push for partner." I hear that all the time,
Yeah.
and it ends up being very much a. You remember the thing I mentioned about grind mentality was, um, it was very focused. It was like right now it's very focused, right? Like everyone's focused on the grind. Everyone's focused on, trying to find what's working best for that for, growth. And it's like, I don't know. It just after a while, back then, I kind of just was like, I guess, I don't know. It's my memories back then are kind of mixed a bit. Sorry,
That's all good. It's
I
all
rambled a
good.
bit, but the difference I feel between now and then is back then, uh, you would just kind of probably group streams. Like I would say streams that were a single like a group of people under one channel were kind of like the focus.
Yeah.
Austin Games and Quick, FNBM, and a couple others. It was like that was the thing. Solo streaming, you'd end up, like if you're doing non-partnered solo streaming, usually it would end up being like, hey, yeah, here I've got my, 3 people, or here I got my 8 people. Ooh. And it was like really big, really like it was more focused on that. And nowadays it seems like the numbers just change so dramatically. You'll be going along and all of a sudden it'll be like, hey, here it is. You you got your 10, and all of a sudden here's 40, and then oh, here's 20, and oh, yep, back 10, and you're like,
Yeah.
what the heck is going on?
Oh yeah,
Well,
fluctuating
it's
everywhere.
fluctuating everywhere now.
And there's way more statistics now. Something that I found that when I was first starting was that like, each broadcaster gets a dashboard, right? And the dashboard's a big change since the previous time. Back then, we didn't really have moderator tools. We didn't really have logs of people. So like, you just had ban. That was it, right? Like you banned somebody. That's it.
That was it.
A one button fix.
Now we have like timeouts, tracking of histories, auto mod filtration. Like there's just so many different things now, tools especially, and it was so different back then. It's gotten better, it's gotten worse in certain things, but like anything, it's adaptations. And I personally wouldn't want to have to go back to the old ways, but
Oh yeah.
I also do miss a bit of the culture that used to exist back then.
Yeah, I can relate to, because a lot of the time when I was streaming back then as well, yeah, the culture compared to now, oh my gosh, huge change, way different. I gotta see what's the other question I had.
Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here, new age streamer of the group. Apparently, I never got to see that culture.
And that's okay. Honestly, anybody can start streaming anytime, and again, it's just getting into the groove of things and just enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should be judging you for when you start. I don't like ever. I've already seen what happens when people start going, oh, veteran style, veteran tag. And I'm just like, dude.
Yeah,
just because you saw the Big Bang doesn't mean you fucking get to tell me how how to treat each other. That doesn't make you God too, okay?
Let's see what other thing. I think that mostly covers the questions I had, other than just a lot of the stuff back then. I mean, compared to now, changes here and there, but I do like you said, I miss some of the stuff from back then too. I'll be honest.
All right. I mean, I am curious what like one minor example, if either of you can bring something to mind of something back then you'd prefer compared to something now, just like minor detail.
Oh, I can give you one. No DMCA.
That's an easy one, but
oh Lord.
I want to say the spam was less.
Huh.
The spam was less. So it's a trade-off. The spam was less. Nowadays we get bot attacks, we get hate raids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Back then there wasn't that, because again, it was just the popularity of the server. So in terms of the number of viewers on Twitch, if you take a look at the number of viewers, let me double check. I'm pretty sure there's actually like a list of like statistics for it. But over the years, Twitch, for instance, when I started watching and started doing stuff, Twitch on average had about 645,000 viewers.
Okay.
Around that, the very maximum, like when big events were happening, like TI
top end days.
Yeah, like the International was going on, or League of Legends had their things.
Or E3
it was
or
like
whatever.
E3. Yeah. It was 1.2 million around. In 2020, in the big time, about like mid-year 2021, the average was 3.1 million people viewing.
Oh.
The maximum was 6 million. So the thing is, like the absolute max that ever happened for the viewership by tracking was the very beginning of 2021. It was 6.5 million. So that's a big difference from 2016 to now, is like a change of 5 times to 6 times as many viewers. Yeah. So as you increase the viewership, you increase the number of people that are, like if 1% of your base is shitty, well,
that's more bad
apples. People means 6 times as many people that are shitters. I mean, that's averaging. That's not saying that there will be 6 times as much, but it's likely that there's 6 times as much. Maybe more, because funny enough, just because it was 1% before, it doesn't mean it's 1% now. It could be
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4%. And there's a lot of, I'm scared to say it, but nowadays there's a lot of like monetization. People are aiming so much for like every dollar they can squeeze out of the platform.
Ay, ay, ay.
And I feel like that's a tricky one, right? Like, how do you handle that? People have to live, but also there's a lot of bad actors and certain things. And you have to deal with that too.
Yeah.
So 16 times deal. So yeah, in terms of it, something I would like from back then, I would say I like the communities. I like the community interactions. I like the like when I say community interactions, I'm not talking about my community specifically. I'm talking about like in general, Twitch community, the grand Twitch community. The stuff they used to do back then was very interesting. Do you remember Helix Praise Helix? Do you remember the Pokemon Twitch plays Pokemon?
I've heard the legends.
So there's legends about it. Back in about, I want to say, when was Twitch plays Pokemon?
I
Uh
don't know.
Twitch plays Pokemon was 2014.
Ay.
So this was before I started streaming. It was
Oh.
horrible. But it was some of the most amazing work that was done by the Twitch community, because it was an idea that got executed, and there were trolls there, but the system was being adapted. People started working towards it, and it ended up having a very interesting outcome where they finished the game. And so it's stuff like that, early SGDQs, like TI1, TI2. These are all big moments for Twitch. These are all big moments that we look back at and we're like, wow, this is crazy. There was a good and the bad, but those are the good things I remember. And those are the things I look at and I go, okay, well, this would be really interesting if it came back, but we don't look at it. I'm a firm believer in never ever look at the past and reminisce, or you can reminisce, but never fall prey to desiring nostalgia, right? Never, you can look back and reflect on the times, but never look back and say, those times are better. I want it back. Because that's boomer mentality. We don't want boomer mentality, all right? We don't want any of that shit around here, okay?
Ay.
So the past can have good and bad, but never look at the past and say, only the good existed, thereby we should go back to the past. Because the past doesn't, there's the good, there's the bad. So in terms of it, that's how it is.
All right. Yeah, I've
I'm sorry if I'm
definitely.
derailing, by the way.
Hey, no worries. This is your
Good.
opportunity to talk about whatever
Yeah.
you please and get whatever off your chest. So, any of these tangents that you just really want to talk about and be passionate about, have at.
Of course.
My comment follow up is that yeah, I definitely heard the legends, but I've also heard that if something like that were to be tried nowadays on Twitch, it would either just fall off into some tiny side community thing or just not
Sorry.
work.
There's
Like,
that there.
it wouldn't become the big thing it was before. Like, I've heard, vague things about, okay, we have a fish playing a game, and it's just a picture of a fish swimming in the fishbowl, and whenever it swims over a certain area, it pushes a button. But that doesn't have any of, like, the bravado that even I, who had no clue what Twitch was and was just studying for rocket science and engineering at the time, I heard about Twitch Plays Pokemon. So,
Yeah.
that got around, and something like that, certainly not going to see nowadays, probably.
Yep. It's honestly, nowadays botting has become a massive problem. So no matter what
Oh,
you do,
yeah.
if it involves players like being the Twitch input.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there's people nowadays that just bot stuff. I think the idea ends up being that like that just kind of ruins a lot of the user interactions. Some people have been aiming to make more things that don't use Twitch chat and they use the actual Twitch API. Even that
Mm-hmm.
gets abused too. So,
Yeah. And another comment I had to follow up on that was the whole don't get stuck in the past and dwell on the past type of outlook. That's something similar to an idea that I just kind of carry along where Most of the time, if you ask me, I'm here for today and to make sure that people can, hang out today or tomorrow. Time keeps moving and we can't reclaim it, so we may as well just
Yeah,
keep on keeping on, right?
exactly.
So that's definitely an outlook that you know, I wholeheartedly agree with. Let's see. Let me take a glance at my questions, and I think we've covered the next one on my list. Changes the site and culture you've seen. So yeah, I think we got that one.
I apologize for stealing that one ahead of time.
Hey, no worries, no worries. How about, let's see, were there any specific communities that you're involved with either on or off Twitch you'd like to talk about?
Nowadays I'm kind of just I kind of just migrate. Uh, the core ones I usually end up being a part of, like my staples,
Mm-hmm.
like the ones I'm usually always there for are Coast community and the Final Fantasy communities.
Okay.
So I usually end up going through a lot of those to just kind of like, you know, deal with my addiction. Uh, and I guess outside of that, it ends up just being, the random times in VR chat communities. Most of that's just being in VR chat itself, not actually offline ones, because I don't really like going to the VR chat streams. I'll be there like once in a while, but other than
Yeah.
that, I'm being there.
You're there
But
to be with friends, not do the stream stuff on VRC.
exactly. Other than that, I migrate kind of through through communities. Like I'll say hi to certain communities, like a couple of the friends of mine that I knew from VRChat. They have
Yeah.
their streams, and I'll go through their communities. I also kind of just go through a lot of my old community, the one that I started going through, the comrades
Mm-hmm.
in VR. So I miss them, but I know we're all busy. So
Yeah. No helping it when people catch the busy.
yep. But in terms of that, outside of those ones,
Mm-hmm.
it just ends up being like what I'm feeling at the moment. Sometimes I'll go into different communities and just visit for a week, visit for a month, visit for 6 months, and then I'm gone. It's just how things are. The ones that usually the staples are the ones I mentioned before.
Yep. Tour around and check out what's going on, see if there's anybody you really mesh with, and just keep supporting the people that you really appreciate.
Exactly.
I know we had a whole lot of talk about community when I had Co on earlier this week because community is a big part of why I hung around in the first place around there and why I'm doing
Mhm.
this now because it was honestly inspiring. So it's definitely understandable that's one of the communities you'd want to stick around in so much.
Oh, in my eye. There you go. Communities make or break your fun a lot of times, and whether or not you're a streamer or a streamee.
Yeah.
Like a viewer or streamee. I don't think stream E is what people call it. A viewer.
I was
Whether
just
you're a
gonna let
viewer
it
or a streamer.
roll, but
Yeah, I'm not letting myself roll on that one.
all right. Uh. Okay, now that you've called it out, I'm sorry. Jeez. Okay. All right, back to rolling along the questions and not dwelling on Streamy too much.
Yeah.
Are there any inspirations or major influences you've had that you might not have brought up yet in the hand, what are you doing? In this conversation.
Um, in terms of in people that are the reason why I like streaming and doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely look up to people like Co and CC. Um, and a couple other friends I have that stream and do really, really well with it because they just they naturally seem to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And they naturally seem to have like a charisma that just works really well with how they stream. And I'm always a warrior. I'm always like anxious about whether I'm hurting or like helping or hurting the situation at hand, whether it's my stream, another person's stream, like just in general, I want to be the best I can for others so that I can help them succeed. And that's always been my focus is what can I do in the moment that can help them? For the ones that like for CC, I was moderating for CC for quite some time, for years. Because I just felt like I wanted to give to him what I could. And I've done this for a lot of friends. I ended up moderating way too much, by the way. Don't ever spread yourself so thin. I was moderating to the point I was so deep in the hole for mine, like for moderating,
Oh
that I
no.
was moderating while I was at work.
Oh no.
I was coding. I was coding and doing validation and verification stuff while on the other screen, I would have a fucking rolling text from 4 streams at the same time, and I would have the moderator view up, making sure that I could I wasn't seeing I wasn't seeing the stream. I was just watching text, and then I would just like delete message or like ban somebody if it was going crazy, and it was just like, and it was like at that point I was like, wow, I'm really stretching myself then.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. Like way too much. Like
Yeah.
way too much.
So
Oh jeez.
definitely don't do that.
Yeah. I, I can barely, focus and, attempt to moderate my own chat when I'm doing my stuff. I can't even imagine, like, all right, I walk into class as a substitute teacher, pull up some Twitch chats, and start moderating while grading math. Like,
Yeah, no,
oh no.
it's a bad thing. I think I got in trouble once for it.
Ay,
And they said
ay, ay.
they explicitly came and they're like, yeah, so we need you not to be using a chat room while you're at work. And I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. So I continued doing it for another week and then I stopped.
Ay, of course, you continued for a while before stopping.
Oh,
Huh?
I continued in spite of that person because let's just say I can be very spiteful.
Uh,
Depending on how people treat me. If somebody treats me very,
Understandable.
very, very poorly, vengeance.
Oh yes, carnage. Let it go. Yeah, treat people how they earn being treated, huh?
Yep. Two things I don't deal with. One, myself being treated poorly. Two, my friends being treated poorly. Don't do either.
Duly noted, and I'm gonna continue hoping to be on your good side. Huh? Although, should I remove that string and mint that was around the leg apparently that got put on before the show?
Maybe.
Maybe. You know.
I still I still need an exit snack.
Okay, well, we can leave the mint. Just remove the string. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We'll get rid of that string. Ay ay ay. Alrighty. Well, moving on to the next question while the string is being removed. Is there anything you'd change, whether in your control or out of your control, looking back? I know that you don't tend to dwell too much on the past as far as earlier conversation, but anything outside your control or in it that you would, all the same?
That's a good question because I am specifically with regards to like my online stuff or specifically with regards to Twitch.
Um, Either or if you feel you have a good answer for it.
Um, I think if I were to change something, I probably wouldn't have spread myself so thin with moderation.
Okay.
That was a big problem because while while I was able to help my friends in the short term, in the long term, they started to become dependent on like there was just never enough to give. And so it ended up kind of showing poorly on my side. So I kind of felt bad about that. So if I were to do it, I probably wouldn't have been trying I would have been telling people, no. I'm moderating for 2 people. That's at the end. Like just straight up, just cut it down and just gave them quality over quantity.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Um, but if I were to change something else, like rather than just being focused on Twitch, if it was just like everything,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have just I think I would have just went more with the flow. I think I would have I spent too much time constantly trying to perfect things. And I think I learned too late that trying to make everything perfect is just a way of stressing yourself out and not getting perfection anyways. So,
Yeah.
had I looked back at it, I probably just would have, because I was trying to learn things. I was trying to learn how to use Blender. I was trying to learn how to use Unity and all this stuff. But the problem was, I was so fixated on the end goal. I was so fixated on perfection and some sort of like looking at how people did it and when like, wow, that they did really amazing work. Why is mine shit? Why am I doing this? I suck. And immediately those kind of words destroyed my ability to continue. Had I not done that, I probably would be in a like I would have been able to have gone a lot further with certain things that I would have wanted, and I didn't. So now I get to do that now. But
Always
well, I
tomorrow.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, always tomorrow because I'm still looking at 2022 as my year of happy. Because
Ah.
2021 has actually started accelerating to the point where I'm just like, holy shit, it's gonna be 2022 already.
Uh.
Because
Oh
we only
yeah,
have two
it's
months left.
almost over, isn't it? Oh jeez.
So once 2022 happens and I get my skiing in, I'm looking forward to that. Because I sports wise, I do skiing.
Huh.
I don't snowboard. So,
Okay.
um, I do skiing, I do skating, and I do rollerblading. Those are my key things, and I do some biking. But that's my focus. My focus is on I want to get into a relaxed state, do 2022, and start to just kind of practice the things. I know I suck at them. Who cares? Who cares that my art sucks? Who cares if my you know language skills suck? I can barely speak English, let alone anything else. So
English is cursed, to be fair.
yeah, I mean it depends, right? But yeah, so that's what I'd like to change.
Okay. Fair enough, fair enough. And definitely sounds like I could definitely learn that lesson too of going, oh yeah, I suck at this. Anyways, and carrying on. Because I get a little bit caught up in that, wow, there's better people than me at this mentality when I try to branch out too much.
Hmm.
Is definitely not a good thing to have stuck in the brain, so being able to branch out beyond that is big, big, a big mood I need to work towards as well.
Yeah, it's fine. It's we all do our own pace, right?
You can't be
The
an expert at
metronome
the
of life,
start.
our own metronomes can't be just told to be a certain way.
Yep. Alright. I think that covers that category. So the next space we'll be moving on to is the free space I gave you that forewarning about. So are there any questions or topics you'd like to ask or bring up and talk about for a bit?
So the funny thing is that the conversation we had about the one that you asked me actually ended up answering a question I had, which is how it feels about starting, like how it feels with Twitch right now. Um, I'm trying to think. I guess, so I guess a question I could have is, there's a lot of different there's a lot of different, in terms of people like, I guess VTubing, because,
Uh huh.
so funny enough, I have, it's been so hard for me, like, because I used to start, so I feel like grandpa, like in terms of like that kind of style, like grandma got a little old one. Because the thing is that when I streamed, when I first started streaming with an avatar, it wasn't like it was before, like the only VTubing we knew of was like as Kizuna Ai, and I think there was
Yeah.
like a couple others at the time. So like when I started with Fair Scale, when I started with like first Avatar, um, VTubing wasn't really a thing on Twitch. So now I kind of got to get used to it. That I guess I'm in that category. I don't. Anyways, so the question I have is, there are different for VTubers in different groups. There's like Oh, sorry, just a sec. I just have a at the door.
All right, well, that little tangent aside, yeah, there's a lot of people who started streaming with avatars early on that is like, oh, VTuber, that is that a title or something? Like they've just been doing it forever. So I definitely get where Sarah's coming from, where it's like, am I technically that? Maybe. Moving on. Ay ay ay. Because as far as that goes, it's a definition, but it's also a tag, and they try to make a community out of it because it did
Yep.
blow up.
Yeah, it,
Yep.
it heavily blew up.
It has become massive. Like in terms of everything that's been going on Twitch, it's utterly massive, and I love it. So okay, so back to what I was thinking.
Yep.
So, like I've said before, and I feel weird classifying myself as ice elemental slime because it just ends up being like I don't really like ice. Ice is hard. Slimes are soft. Where the fuck am I slime? Anyways, so but in terms of I guess I count more in towards the bird side of things. So what is it like? Because I know you deal with the mouse VTuber squads, like the
Yeah.
mouse VTuber side of Twitch. How does it feel to have a large number? Because there are many like you and
There
so
are
many other
so
great
many
like
mice.
Yeah,
mites
there's so
out there.
many.
There's so many. How does it feel to have like such a great like shared base with other people? Like you have a shared like trait. You're like mice VTubers, you get to share that with others. How does it feel to have that kind of like um connection with others?
The way that I treat it and I feel about it most of the time is it's kind of like a welcome mat at a door, basically. Like, it's something that helps initially reach out to other mice, like that dork Mousy in there in the chat that I see popping
Yeah,
up, who
right.
was an amazing individual with a birthday this month. I see you, Mousy.
Yeah, I see you, Mousy.
But it is, for the most part, a way to just have a convenient excuse to reach out and say, hello, we have something in common, and start a chat. It's a starting point to get
Ah,
it rolling. Like, back when I was first forming the character and initially developing all that, and I was just in Co streams and your streams and being like, I kind of exist, I did wind up getting reached out to, actually. You're familiar with Chome?
yeah, show me.
Yeah. So Cho actually reached out to me completely out of the blue when I was hanging around and was like, "You're a mouse?" And that started a conversation, and I still know Cho and chat to this day. So yeah, the common ground bit, I I treat it as an open door to say hello to somebody and try to get to know them. There are certainly times where overlapping themes can also be a little bit of a bother, where it's like, okay, well, if they want a mouse, they have like 27 different options for mice just off the top of, the list. So, I still,
Interesting.
try to find my way
I
to
li-
stand out.
I like the idea of it where it's like it's kind of like it's a shared like it's a welcome mat. It's a
Mm-hmm.
shared starter point, which again, you may say that you may say, oh, there's 27, but the thing is, that still restricts you down a lot from 7 billion or from, 8 billion or whatever.
Fair.
So it's, I look at it as I look at it as a blessing, like a straight up, kind of like a familiarity from the beginning, right?
Yeah, there's,
Seeing your mice familiars, stuff like that.
if all else fails, I just squeak at them and they squeak back, and then it's like, okay, we have an understanding.
Exactly. I haven't seen too many. Actually, um, I've seen a lot of dragons. I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of
Yep.
Don't get
I've
me
seen a lot of
started on
dragons.
Kitsune.
Yep, tons of kitsune, tons of fox girls, wolf girls, and dog girls and cat girls. I don't really see that many bird girls though. I'm surprised. Like
I
really.
I actually do
I
know
know
one.
I know Corva, Corvus, and I think a couple other like two other friends I had from like a while back.
So, fun
Um,
minor tangent, if you'll allow me.
yes, of
Yeah.
course.
All right. So, on the topic of birds, I do know Magpie-san, who I met during the ARG that floated around Twitter a while back, where somebody was sent a creepy sound file that turned out to be a password in disguise via spectrogram.
Okay.
And I got to meet Magpie-san, who is a, well, magpie VTuber. Bird, distracted by shiny object, all that jazz. And they've been an absolute treat to get to know, so I can definitely, introduce you to at least one bird I know.
You said magpie. Some.
Yeah, Magpie-san. So, let me see if I do. Let's see, does that link to... Yeah, Magpie-san.
Oh, okay. I think I remember seeing their name before.
I recently got some art done with them that I posted to Twitter, so that might have been where you caught the name if you saw the little friend on my shoulder one.
Yep.
And I think Cloudy actually knows a owl as well that's the other Cloudy, if I'm right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
The pistachio. Yeah. Same name. Hilariously enough, has cloudy in the name and everything.
So there's definitely a few birds that can point you towards if you ever feel like, treading the waters.
And who was the other one? Cloud.
Oh, here,
Um,
let me, I think I have
doo-doo-doo.
this,
Yeah.
Some days I suck at like I'll hear a name and I'll be like, and there's like 48 different letters that I just inserted into that name in my head, and it's gone.
no, here, I'll
All
put
right.
I'll put it in the chat real quick.
You'll put in the chat. I'll give them a shout out as well.
There you go.
Yep.
Yoinking that.
Perfect.
Do. So, ba-da-bop. Yoink that. Shout them out as well for anybody to see in the audience. But yeah, there's a few birds. They're more few and far between, and they are all very distinct because, like we mentioned, owl, magpie,
Yep.
ravens. Like I don't think I've met two of the same bird yet.
The one I know that's on another, well, bird specific. I'm not sure. I don't think she's raven. Is Corvus, even though Corvus is technically the name of Raven, like the family of ravens.
Yeah.
Or I mean, ravens are part of that family, but like are like corvids. But other than that, yeah, it's been interesting because most of the time, yeah, it's like we see. I honestly feel like it's a trade off, right? Like, how many birds do you know? Well, there's a couple, cool, but far and few between. Meanwhile, the collective of mice is just great. The collective of fox girls, the collective of and it's interesting to think about where people what people have chosen and where they go with them.
And also a minor note, I'm aware of the collective of mice because a lot of the time people will call out to their own groups and being like, finding all mice, because I know for a while, every other month, Cho was just hunting down new mice on Twitter being like, I must add them to my collection.
Cho definitely seems like she's a treat. She's definitely a treat. So, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of the other questions that I would have on my mind.
Yeah.
I guess I remember a lot of the. Funny enough, even though you've seen me streaming for a while, like I've always had a fear of collabs and just getting them. And I know it's a weird thing probably for me to say, but it's just like I remember we talked a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess getting into is just like, so what would be a I guess I don't know if it's a repetition, or what would you say you'd give to somebody saying like getting into collabs? Like, what would you say is the most important thing, the important tip?
So I'm gonna pull on the specifically April month that was collab month for me, where
Mhm.
I went and collabed all over the place, friends, near strangers, so on and so forth. First thing I'm gonna say is if there's somebody that you enjoy hanging out with already and chatting with, just play a game with them when you have the time. You already do this with joining in with like Wreckfest with Co and all that. It's not technically, collab titled, but you're still playing with someone and joining up with someone. That's more of an open invite thing though, so I get that you're probably being like, not quite what I'm asking. So I'm gonna say, beyond that, knowing them as a friend is a good starting point to be like, okay, we can play together and I can just ask you to play. That's your easy mode. Asking of like, okay, they're there, we can ask like if you were to ask Ko or Ao to play something with you, you'd probably, get a reasonable response from them or a I'm busy, can we get a different day? I imagine.
Yeah.
If you're trying to reach out to somebody who's relatively new to you, generally I'd say get some interactions with them first. Hang out on a few of their streams, chat with them, see like if they mesh with you as a viewer, and then at some point try to reach out via Twitter or Discord DMs or some other method and just start talking with them. Kind of pose the idea that you would want to collab if you mesh in the private conversation too, where hey, do you like any of these games? Casual conversation lead in.
Oh, okay.
Because you can just go straight up to somebody and ask, hey, do you want to play a game together? Most of the time, like in my experience, I went out and tried to ask like 30 people that month. Not one of them said no. So a lot of them being total strangers to me, and some of them being, good friends. So I had to schedule a lot more than I was anticipating, I'm going to be honest.
Oh, what was the hit ratio you're expecting?
I was, if I was being optimistic, I would have been like, okay, 75%, because there's a lot of people I do know and they've already expressed the willingness, but also some of those shots completely in the dark. It's like, I thought I was shooting over, towards the field and I still hit the broadside of the barn. Like, what?
You went above and beyond. You hit 100% of the shots that you aim to hit. That's a pretty good hit ratio. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
yeah. There were some people where it's like, okay, the communication was closed or I just wasn't comfortable to reach out to in the first place. But there's a lot of them where it's like, I did not expect you to actually respond and acknowledge anything, and here we are, so I guess we're playing. So, as a whole, most people are probably receptive to being asked to play something. But
Then
you just want to make sure you have a dynamic with them in some capacity, friendship or otherwise. That's
because there was
my
something
two
we
cents. Yeah. Sorry.
because it was something we talked about a while back then. And I remember you telling
Mhm.
you I just wanted to revisit it because it was one of those things where it's like, the more you think about it, the better, right? So, because my memory's bad, I swear. It's not that I'm forgetting purposely. It's just I remember we had talked a bit, but like I wanted just to hear the details again.
Yeah.
I'm using you for this.
Listen,
Yeah,
if you want to
that's
use me as a minor social crutch, I am more than willing. I can't tell you how many times a mouse burrow across the table I've tried to drag into something.
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, cough, cough.
oh.
I mean, there's even some people that I've gone between for that I haven't even collabed with, where it's like, hey, I know Cloudy. He's really cool. And I'm like, he's just a big old shy boy. You should just ask him to play something and he'll say yes. And lo and behold,
Oh
he
no.
got some, collab time or just hangout time off stream just playing with them because it actually happened. So
Mhm.
the biggest issue is a lot of the time, you are as nervous as they are about it. Like, if you think you're dreading approaching somebody, that's the same reason a lot of people don't reach out and approach you at times, or it's like, heck, even me, I was absolutely terrified to initially ask you and Co to play GTFO. Oh, I was shaken. I was like, okay, this is the big one. This is like, I'm gonna use all my energy. I'm gonna ignore the pain in my mouth, and I'm gonna be like, okay, miracle birthday wish if it happens. Let's go.
It was a fun time. I can definitely say wholeheartedly it was a fun time. It ended up being it was very funny, especially as the night went on.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a lot of chaos and a lot of co-typing in terminals. There was
Every time I checked the terminal,
Every
there was something
time.
else.
right?
Every fucking time.
Right,
Sorry,
you know.
I shouldn't be crying on a drink.
Oh, I don't mind.
Every-
We do have mature filter on, so feel free to let
Okay,
loose.
God, every fucking time. So every fucking time I would look over, I would be looking over her shoulder and see type give, and I was just like, every fucking, like, seriously, Kyle?
Oh yeah,
Seriously? Seriously.
we had the constant Sarah gimme babies. We had the comments
Yeah.
towards Monkey in the terminals. We had everything going
Yeah.
on with that.
It all ended up going.
But it was a surprisingly functional team. Jeez. Yeah. I was very much the handshaking, nervous, fan in that scenario where it's like, I want to ask these people in particular to play something with me because I look up to them, and then, I'm sitting here being like, I'm kind of tearing up thinking about the fact that you both did play and I got to hang out with you on birthday, more or less, and So, that really, even if I was in immense pain from the Wisdom 2 shenanigans, that was best part of the year that I'm recalling. Just that and meeting some amazing people like Claudia Mouse, which I think is over a year at this point, so I can't even say this year anymore for that. Ay.
I'm
Yeah.
honored to have helped.
Yeah. As far as reaching out to actually talk with people and collab goes and just play a game, matter of starting point is just talking with them like anybody else. If they say no for whatever reason, no loss. If they say yes, that's a potential friendship. So don't stress about it. Worst they can say is no, because if they say anything worse than that, you didn't want to be their friend in the first place.
True. Very true.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on collabs.
So, I guess the last question I probably will ask you.
Okay.
So, you've got, I forget, do you have VR?
I do have VR. I recently got an Index, relatively speaking.
You got an Index.
Yeah.
So that means that you're thinking you've been in VR chat, haven't you?
I have been in VR chat, yes.
Excellent. Just the question I need to ask. Because it's always one of those fun things, just figuring out like who has access to VR and stuff like that, because it ends up just opening the doors to just whatever is going to happen in the future.
Yeah. I've definitely had some fun with VR. A bit in VR chat thanks to hanging out with people like Cloudy here or Mousy and Kami in chat. Because, hell, if I'm ever going to join a public world. Me, social anxiety.
Yeah, no, public worlds are probably... Nowadays, like, you remember the feeling of like how Twitch is? And then we're talking about how Twitch is before and how Twitch is now. VR chat has kind of a similar feeling for me. There are things that are really great now in VR chat, and there's things that are really shitty now in VR chat. And public worlds is one of those things that really dropped. Nowadays, if I go into a public world, you can bet your ass I'm probably going to be doing it on VPN and on an alt account. And not using any of my avatars that I like.
I see.
Yeah. I've seen.
That doesn't sound good.
I have seen shit. I have seen shit. I have seen tons of shit. It is horrifying what you can see in there. It is horrifying. It
Yeah.
is like at the point
Oh,
of saying
Lord.
I question what the fuck people are thinking in those worlds.
Yeah.
You know,
Honestly,
I can't even talk about most of it because it's just like I feel like even just mentioning it is TOS.
Yeah.
Just mentioning the existence of it is TOS. It's kind of like forbidden knowledge. It's like Cthulhu is going to come down and eat your head.
I do have a bit of a saying that sounds like it fits this situation. A person can be smart. People are dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Oh,
There's a
no.
mob, and it does not work well together.
Ay, ay, ay. Uh,
Yeah, that's the end of my questioning.
all right, fair enough. But yeah, to follow up on the VR bit a little more, I do have VR. I've played some VR chat, and honestly, I am hoping to get my new model to have a VR chat version for when I'm doing hangouts with people and friends. So when that comes along, that's that's going to be nice. But I've also been enjoying a lot of VR gaming, which I was looking forward to when I initially bought the VR. Although I do have some, I certainly have some choice gripes about games like Half-Life Alyx and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners.
Yeah, VR games have a bit more of a, how do you say, there was a higher floor requirement to
Yeah.
whether it's acceptable or not. Like the acceptance floor is way higher. It's required to like a lot harder to get into it.
Yeah. Like, even with the two games I mentioned that are generally touted as good games, like, one of them, okay, some of the more difficult scenarios, I don't mind if it weren't for the sudden, long, lengthy loading screens. The other one is like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think The Walking Dead has the notion of game balance for resource gathering. Because I walked into the final encounter there with a backpack full of grenades and a long barrel rifle. And I stood there for like 5 minutes taking shots with that rifle just because I could. And not being
Yep.
threatened at all. That's
The loading screen thing is the exact reason why I ended up buying a 2 terabyte hard drive. I know that most people can't really just afford to go out and just buy a fucking, 2 terabyte SSD or something like that, but I ended up grabbing one just because I was like, you know what? I'm an idiot, and I need to make sure that I've got enough space in my computer to play games. So I ended up moving all of my games onto it. And the funny thing is, that was 1.8 terabytes worth of games. So my plan was to just have like, because anytime we stream, I always make a local copy, right?
Yep.
And I do it live because I'm an idiot. So it ends up being that because I can run it at higher. I guess not an idiot. I guess
You
because
can
the thing is, I
record
run
at
my
higher quality, yeah.
yeah. So what I normally stream up at Twitch is because I want to make sure that I reach the most amount of people without harming too much. So it ends up being that my bit rate is like 25. I think it's like 3,500. Might go lower, something like that. Depends. But my local recording is. Let me just open up. I'm just opening up OBS Studio to see. Let's see.
Yeah, go ahead and check it.
Yeah. So on OBS, in my settings under stream, my stream output is 3,500 kilobit by its 720p 60. My recording rate is 1080p 60, 16,000 kilobytes. And it records all three. So the way I do it is anytime I stream,
Yeah.
It locked up. Yes. Okay. Well, we'll see that later.
We'll be concerned with it later, yeah.
That's a problem for future stuff.
Things are still forking now, so it's fine.
Yeah. So, one of the things that happens is, you know how like, sometimes you want to have like unfiltered, like, or you want to have filtered audio. You want to make sure that you have like crisp, perfectly, like the current audio.
Yeah.
So the way I do that is I have 3 audio tracks on every time I stream.
Okay.
I have the full audio mix, which is what gets sent to Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
I have the game audio only, and I have the talking audio only, which is Discord, my microphone, and that.
Okay.
So if it came down to having it where I want to make like I want to tune the audio, I can tune the game audio and make it louder, but I can leave the voice audio the same, or I can add the audio. Like I can do live mixing later, which is really
Yep.
helpful if you ever do like some things
Fair enough.
like mixes and stuff.
All right. And that's got to be a hell on the hard drive. It sounds like, huh?
Well, let's just say I like to hear it scream.
Oh, gee. I wasn't expecting sadism against hard drives to be on the bingo board, but here we are. Huh?
M for life, or it was at S for life, yeah. S for life, M for receive. Yeah.
Ay. Fair enough.
We already know Kevin's M. We know that.
Poor Kevin.
So.
All right. Well, in that case, if you've wrapped up your questions you wanted to ask, I think that a third question actually pivots nicely into the next segment I wrote for a little bit of this. Blah, blah, blah. My brain just stumbled. A little bit of this conversation and interview. So the next section I kind of broadly labeled as advice seeking, because
Nice.
I'm familiar that you're very open to asking if you're doing something right or wrong, and even do have a dedicated channel in your Discord, last I checked, to have a 95% honest reviews, I think you called it.
Yep, I move that in and out depending on if I need to ask.
Yeah. So, the question I want to get to is, do you have any advice for people who are seeking advice but don't know how to go about asking for it?
Seeking advice but not sure how to ask for it. So, it's, I guess, it's hard because, of course, anxiety is the reason why we don't do things, right? A lot of times we don't do it because we're afraid. We're afraid of, like, the worst case, the worst possible scenario.
Yep.
So when I made the 95% honest review, I actually have it. I just looking it up at it. And I literally wrote down the 95% part is I'm a bit fragile, so try not to do a scathing review stuff, the missing 5%, like you suck or just don't stream. I'll try not to take anything too hard, but you know me, after all those streams, I take a bit much at times. I just want to do fun stream, blah, blah, blah. So one of the things that I would say if you're asking for like feedback is when you're asking for feedback from friends and stuff like that, go in understanding that they're not there to attack you. They're not there to threaten you. They're not looking to destroy you. What I'm saying is that friends are great for this because, like, as long as you're not saying it, like, as long as you're not asking every 5 seconds, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. Because the answer was 5 seconds ago is still the same as the answer right now. So don't worry. Now unless things have majorly changed in 5 seconds. So
if anything, if you're asking every 5 seconds, the answer starts going, you're less okay, stop asking.
Yeah, so the idea is you know that you can ask and you get your status, and you know that be with people you trust. And, you know, the idea I say is when you're asking for help like that, you know you want to improve. And you're not bad for not being perfect in the beginning. Like I said before at the very beginning, perfectionism is one of those cursed little things that makes you very, very scared. I feel bad saying all this stuff, but the idea is if you're seeking advice on bettering your work, whether it's stream or stuff like that, you can take a look at it, look at your own works. Like for me, one of the best things I did was just looking at my own streams and going, do I like this? What could I do differently here? Well, self-analysis is really nice. But of course, we can't see everything we do. So asking friends, I would say the last thing I would do is like, I did it. By the way, I did it once, and it was because I was at a very different spot. But asking publicly, like reaching out straight publicly, is one of those things where like it's a wild card. And that's more for if you're like disregard all the crap answers and look at the ones that just really give you the nitty gritty good stuff. But in order of it, always start with yourself. Look at your works. If you feel like you can't give a good judgment on it, then look towards your friends. Kind of work your way out from there. And always kind of look at it. You don't have to change everything at once. Change the small bits first. For me, stream stuff. Rather than looking to make perfection in first go, look at the small stuff first and kind of just move from there. So when you're looking at like advice, you can always take all of the advice and then just look at the small bits that you want to change immediately, and then look at the bigger stuff and say, okay, that could be later and stuff like that. You also don't have to accept everything that somebody tells you. You don't have to look at it and say, yes, if I ask for advice, I have to take every single thing that they say and lock it in and immediately do all of that. The idea is that you will be able to just pick the stuff that you fit, like the stuff you try and you like enjoy. So.
All right, that definitely sounds like good considerations. See, what was it? Yourself, your friends, and if you ever dare, you got to go in with, nerves of steel and a very fine-tooth comb if you ever go public. Stick with your self-reflection and your friends, something like that?
Yep. That's usually what I do. And
Okay.
it's worked well for me as is.
All right. I know a
The
lot
less
of the...
anxiety you have, the better it is. The less anxiety you have immediately, the further out you can go immediately. But other than that.
Fair enough. And since it has come up briefly as well, and it is kind of a occasionally hot topic around the community of VTuber and all that, do you have any words for anybody who needs to take a break for one reason or the other, be it physical or mental health?
So,
or any piece of advice there?
So I've always heard that said, like, take time for yourself, don't worry and stuff like that. And I do agree with it for sure. You need to be able to like communities like good communities, like they understand. They will understand. They're going through it. They know, like, they want you to succeed because they get to see more of you. And so pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion, to the point where you're damaging your health beyond repair, you don't want to do that. It's not gonna net you favors with people. So if you need to step away, just tell people, so you don't just up and disappear. By the way, don't just up and disappear. People usually end up getting scared if you just randomly stop streaming for like 6 months and not mention a single damn thing to anybody. It's one of the reasons why having like your own stream Discord is really good. It allows you to tell people, and if people are questioning and saying, wait, what's going on? They can go there and go, person is dealing with some stress, family stress, work stress, health stress, stuff like that. And you can take the time. There's no wrong. I mean, there are wrong ways to do stuff, but in terms of taking for your health for yourself, there's no wrong way to do it. Do your part. Make sure you survived it, because like there's nothing worse than sitting there miserable and pushing yourself through a stream. Because, if you need to take some time. Also, another thing you can do, and I've done it before, is you can still stream, and if you just feel anxious, like vocally and stuff like that, you could just do a mute stream. Doing a mute stream is not, it's a style. It's not a, there's, for me, when I look at somebody doing a mute stream, it's either they physically can't speak, or it's a stylistic choice that they're doing, like, or it's just a day that they don't want to talk because they don't feel like their health is just inhibiting that point. No one's judging you for that. Go ahead and you do it. Do what's necessary to make sure you're healthy. And but when I say no one's saying it, I mean, unless they're trolling, and trolls don't exist. Trolls are stupid. Trolls, ban, get rid of. don't take what a troll says to heart, because honestly, they're not out for anyone but themselves.
All right. That's definitely definitely good to hear, and a lot of good thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, on that note, looks like I'm moving into the last category and the wrap up, more or less. So, something I do want to throw out there for you to keep in mind while we finish up with these last few questions. I do leave the raid direction and message to the guest for these interviews. So, while you're answering these last few questions, if you want to take a glance around and look at people who are live and potentially want to send any of the interview watchers over that way, please do so.
Can I defer that to somebody in the... Can I defer that to the host? I suck at choosing locations.
So, I'm fine if we don't raid anywhere during an interview. This is just an opportunity to say, hey, if you have any community you want to introduce a bunch of people to, this is an opportunity. So, we're good for no raid. We could just send over to Ko if she's still live as just a safe bet. Or we could just do what we please. We do not need a raid. It's just this is a thing you can, help share about and show another community off if you wanted to.
Okay.
But moving on to the final questions and what's effectively our wrap-up section, I like to end these interviews by talking about the future and looking forward. So, we start off with, Big Squeak Inc. We start off big. Are there any major plans going along in the future, be it years out, pipe dreams, or something you'd just like to do way off in the distance that's a grand goal, either for stream or for life?
So in terms of stream, in terms of like Nyx and like the characters stuff, like I mentioned in the beginning, I do kind of want to look into other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I eventually want to have it where I can just hot swap through them. I would love to ponder and think and come up with one of the other books and see if I can actually just craft the character for it. Because I love the idea, like I love what Nyx has become for me, and I would love to see the other characters too. I also am looking towards the future and trying to build my confidence. I want to feel a bit more secure in myself. I mean, the webcam stuff that I did a long time ago, who knows, right? As is, I want to become a bit more free with what I do. In terms of, let's look at it specifically. In terms of the 6 month, the 6 month to a year, the 2 year, the 5 year, the 10 year.
Okay.
6 months. So 6 months to a year. Twitchcon. I want to see about going to Twitchcon. I want to. The last time I was there was 2019, and it was crazy. And it was the same place. It was San Diego. So I kind of want to look into doing that, which also means I kind of want to look into doing cosplay. Not confirmed, but I'd love to do a cosplay for it. In the year to 2 year mark, I want to look into being a bit more that's when I start want to look into character development of Nyx and just getting world building, stuff like that. Which also means I want to start looking into more artwork, more fun little things that kind of illustrate the story.
Yeah.
I also kind of want to learn more about drawing. Actually, because I've got a tablet with me, and the poor thing is covered in more dust than my, grandparents' cabinet set. So, I need to, make sure I clean that bitch off. Not my grandparents, my tablet. My grandparents are doing quite well, thank you very much. So, in the 2 year to 5 year mark, that's when I want to start looking into the different characters. I want to start looking into, fully fleshing out the storyline, the stories, the background, Because then I can start looking into different characters I can use and just feel like okay and start embracing more of the VTuber style.
Mm-hmm.
In the 5 to 10 year mark, that's where it's an unknown. I will be getting old. So at that point, I kind of want to start looking into really. I'm hoping VR becomes way more of a thing. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that computers are so powerful that I can literally start doing streaming from inside VR easily with no problems at all, and do it in full full 8K, 16K or higher, with like, I want to see what the future holds, and I want to go from there. With that result, I want to be way more connected with people online. I want to see where my job takes me. I want to see where the world takes us, and I want to just see what I'm doing. Yeah, here's SAO style music. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm
Okay.
kind of looking for with the future. I don't know where I will be in 5 to 10 years as strictly. I
Yeah.
hope that streaming is still a thing in my life because I do appreciate the time that everyone takes to enjoy things, the games. It allows me a lot more freedom with like game choices and stuff like that. And who knows where we go from there.
All
That good
right.
answer for you?
Oh, that
I'm
is a
sorry.
lot more in depth of an answer than I've got from anybody else. So it's definitely a good answer.
Yeah.
A lot of people have
Unfortunately, I
had a.
overachieve at times.
It's fine. It's fine. I think the most in-depth answer aside from yours we've gotten is with Ko and her whole situation that we covered last time. But most of the time it's just been like, okay, well, I'd like to, have one or two goals for the distant future, as opposed to having a whole roadmap planned out.
Most of mine end up being spur of the moment, so
Fair
it
enough,
just
fair enough. I do have a few comments throughout that were just stray one-off, but didn't want to interrupt your flow. So,
Yeah.
start with getting into art, especially if you're trying to express and create characters and just flesh out that, following that. I can definitely see art being a very useful means for you, where if you have an idea or a theme you just want to explore, you just go for it. I have very little experience with drawing, but I do know a little bit about writing, and sometimes you just take the strangest idea and start with it there, and let something flow out from there, and whatever gets created will probably surprise you at the end of it, so I'm looking forward to whatever art you do get up to if you decide to pick it up and stick to it.
My end results, my end hope is I know it's going to take me 10 years to be actually improved enough at it. To improve enough at art to be accepting my own things, I'm thinking 5, 10 years. But to be able to draw stuff and get a good idea of what I want to send and then have artwork done of that and then be able to embrace both is what I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
So I should just to refine what I had said before. I apologize.
Fair enough, fair enough. I know me and Ao have very similar styles when it comes to references, where have you seen any of Ao's art references that they send into the artist initially?
I've seen like one. I can't
Like-
remember recently.
Like basically a very, well, you've seen the emote she's drawn in chat.
Oh, blurst. Yes, the blurst ones. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Okay, now you're starting to speak the language.
That's the skill level I'm sitting at, where it's like, okay, I can draw vaguely shapes that get an idea across, but I definitely need the artist to finish it up, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely understand wanting to improve just enough that you can send stuff that doesn't feel like, well, they're going to look at this, and I wouldn't doubt if they chuckled or laughed, even if they say as an artist that they love having the extra reference like that. Because it is, a lot of the stuff you create when you have no clue what you're doing is amazingly cursed.
Yep.
All right. Other comment, and I think I only had one more for that chain of events you were talking about. I do enjoy talking about things and just rambling on about themes or other things. So if you do get to chatting and you want somebody to just spitball off of, and wait, if you get chatting, no, if you get to brainstorming and want somebody to just spitball ideas off of, I am more than willing because I get up to a lot of shenanigans when it comes to ideas and writing. So let me
Nice.
know if you ever need an open ear to just bounce ideas off of, huh? In the meanwhile, moving on to the final question of the interview. We've actually hit 2 hours with this interview. This one has gone quite
I
long.
am so sorry, and that is mostly my fault.
Hey, it's no worries.
Yeah.
I normally
And
plan for
Firstly
like
Gladys, right?
well,
Oh,
I'm just staring
I'm-
across the table, Cloudy.
Hmm?
yeah,
What?
I'm just
Yeah.
remember?
You did not catch that comment?
Well,
No,
my
No.
brain just just it whooshed for a minute. My bad.
that's okay. I was just playing fun with you.
Not even
Um,
being tiny on the desk can keep you from accidentally talking over someone's head once or twice, huh?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Paper airplane.
Paper airplane
So-
style, go.
Yeah. So yeah. 2 hours, I'm surprised.
Yeah, most of the time people only really have topics for an hour and a half, or that's around the time people talk about. So the fact that we've gone that long just shows that you got plenty of stuff you're passionate about.
I'm a good bullshitter, usually, at times. So it ends up being that if necessary, I could probably filibuster a political community for probably a good solid day and a half. The thing is just, it comes with the territory.
Comes with territory, huh? Well, good. Our final question with that little aside, are there any immediate short-term plans that you're willing to talk about, be it a future stream, just hanging out somewhere you're excited about, or like, I'm going to have a hot dog for dinner, whatever.
So it's Thursday,
Mhm.
my dude, and I'm probably going to end up. So I'm still addicted to Final Fantasy 14. I know that, and eventually I'll stop. Like anything, that's the worst. It's like that's basically what you hear in an AA meeting. So I'm looking forward to the new expansion coming out.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to be doing a bit more preparation for that.
Fair enough.
Once December finishes, I will have a better idea of where I am with stuff, and I'm hoping that by then I've got all the things I've wanted to do in the game. By end of January, all the things I wanted to do in the game done, which kind of narrows down what the future holds for me. And then I kind of want to start February to start looking into costume work, seeing about because honestly, the hardest thing for me to do with costume work, and I've done this before, the hardest thing to do is literally to start getting stuff together. If you
Oh,
can
yeah.
get things together, just to start, not even good stuff, literally oh, this character requires a corset, wings, a wig, and this stuff and this. And you end up going online, you're like, oh, I found a good wig that has tips. So I just grabbed those and I bought it. And I bought a corset and I bought this. Congrats, you started your costume. You can put them all together. You can look at it and be like, now what am I missing? And then it starts and it goes crazy from there. So back when I was in university, I ended up making a cosplay for a character called, it was, it was, let me look it up. I forgot her name. Shit. Why do I forget her name? Saya Kijin. Basically, the character that goes around, it's like a little Oni girl with little horns that has a very unique skirt that is composed of arrows pointing up and down. And her whole point was that she's able to flip things.
Oh,
She's able to flip
yeah.
dimensions. She's able to flip things like that.
Totally.
So I made her skirt. I quilted
Okay.
it myself. I designed
Ay, ay, ay.
it myself. I designed all the things. That's where my brain power went for 1 year. So I know that just getting parts together is how you quickly get things. So by February, I kind of want to look into that. Also, I just saw your chat and I just saw a question. Should I
Yeah,
answer
I
that?
was gonna leave that till after you got through your piece, but go ahead
Okay.
and
So
I'll.
I'll wait until after then.
All right.
So that's what my current close term goals are is video game, uh, more time with friends, uh, get my health together, be better. Like, I'm on acid reducers for my stomach to try and fix possibly some of the issues that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna also work with a doctor in November. But yeah, so that's basically it.
All right. Well, normally we'd wrap it up, but at this point, I do see that question in chat, like you were saying, and if you have any last second questions, you can throw them in chat because we will see how long this winds up dragging on from audience questions as well, so long as Sarah's willing to
Okay.
entertain them. So let's
So
see. The typical 2 questions from 4 have been asked. We'll start with the first one in chat. And I quote, "Since I've asked most, I've got to ask Sarah this too. If you had to appoint a president of the internet, who would it be and why?"
president of the internet, as in the person that I assume would be representative of the face of. So we're assuming like U.S. president, where it's the face of the country kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think like the face of the internet and maybe a little bit of sway here and there or something like that, but mainly the face.
I would say Neanders.
Neanders?
And the only reason I say Neanders is because she's a shit poster. Holy fucking shit. So when I think of her, I'm remembering all the shit that okay, so I have seen some shit. Okay.
Yeah, I can
Lots
imagine.
of shit.
Oh no.
So when I think back, I think of 4chan boards, like Newgrounds. I think of all of those things, and then I start thinking of how that evolved into, the tons of YouTube stuff, tons of Twitch, tons of things that go for it. The thing is, she has actually touched every single facet of the internet when I think about it. She has touched the shit posting. She has touched the singing, the performance, the gaming, the learning new information, the information side, the everything. She's even the VTuber front end on for it. So honestly, in terms of it, she has been around as long as I have on the internet, and I know that because I've seen her name around since 2009, 2011, 2010, somewhere in there. I know that I've seen that name pop around quite a bit. So she's and stuff like that. So I think of her as the president of the internet in terms of who would be the one to do so, because she has a face for it. She's VTuber style. She has the anonymity to take care of the stuff. Anonymity was a big thing of the internet, so that's who I think would be the president of it. Whether it goes to her head or not, I don't know. Who cares? Destruction's also part of the internet. Guess what, bitch? That's mine.
I'm familiar with destruction.
Okay, so that's question 1. Cool.
Yeah, and evidently that's one of the best answers 4 has received from that question because, according to them, it just isn't wrong.
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
It is accurate. It just isn't wrong.
Accurate.
All right.
Sure.
And question 2 for our wrap up, unless somebody else posts a question in chat. And I quote, "Guess there's also the question I ask sometimes of, if you were suddenly arrested for no reason and your face was flashed all over the news, what would your family and friends assume you did?"
Okay, this is hard. And the reason I say that is because it depends on the fucking family member you ask.
Oh,
and
no.
It depends on the fucking friend you ask. Okay, so if you go by my so my parents are divorced. And I don't talk to my father because he's just a problem that
Understandable.
I won't get into.
Mm-hmm.
So if his side saw it, they would immediately blame me for whatever it was. Blame instantly. If it was my mom's side, they would think that what would they think? If I was arrested for no reason, if I was like, they would immediately go, no, that's wrong. That wouldn't have happened. They must have gotten framed. The third thing is of my friends. So of my friend group, I have the online one.
Mm-hmm.
I have the offline. I have the offline group A, and I have the offline group B.
All right, A and
If
B.
it was the online group, they would be like, "Who the fuck is this?" Because nobody's seen my face except for Co and I think somebody else. And so they would just be like, "Who the fuck is that?" Because also they'd be like, "We don't know their last name, so who the fuck is this?" If it was group A, offline group A, they would look and go, "Holy shit, what the fuck did they do?" Group B would go, wait, you can do that? That would be group B.
Ay.
Because if I was arrested for something, you bet your ass I did something fucking out there.
Oh,
so
no.
That would be my 3. That would be the 5 answers you'd probably hear from the 2 sides of my family and the 3 groups of friends I have.
So, to just try to wrap around and make sure I got all those answers correctly, we have the 2 sides of family. The crime they were committed, guilty. They don't even, question. They just like, guilty, they did it, and move on. The other one's like, no, that's not right. That no crimes here. Who framed them? What's going on? We got to get to the bottom of this. We got online group of, who the hell's that? And then we have another group of, all right, that doesn't sound like Sarah. That's just, no, we don't believe it. And then the group that's like, oh, I can't believe Sarah committed triple arson. I thought arson was only possible in one place at one time. But you triple arson?
And
something
to
like that.
refine the first one? Yeah, exactly. That would be exactly, because honestly, to be honest with you, I would love to see what the effect of, like, I can't say it because I feel like I would illegally get in trouble. So we're not going to say it. We're not going to say that one.
We're going to refrain from that
Sarah's
thought.
head.
That will become
Yay.
a private thought for conversation elsewhere.
Sarah knows the answer to that one. Sarah's the only one that knows the answer to that one.
It's confidential.
And to iterate on the family one, the reason why they were saying guilty is because I don't talk to that side of the family, and they already blame me for stuff. I'm assuming they would blame me for not saying hi, so they would automatically assume because I've already got reached out by one side of that family, and it's always about you're not giving us you're not helping family member X, and blah blah blah. So
yeah, okay.
Anyways, and I think there's a new question.
Yeah, there is one last question from actually my brother in chat. So my brother asks that, well, all they need to know is, what's your favorite anime?
So, okay. Thank you for asking the hardest question. So, this might be a bit weird. The anime, so I'm going to say its favorite because it's the one that affected me the most growing up.
All right.
So when I was growing up, we had access to torrents are a big thing, right? Like torrents have covered so much. Like back before Crunchyroll, back before Funimation, stuff like that. Literally, we didn't get shit because fucking nobody brought anime over here. So like it was all torrents and stuff like that. So I remember getting an old show. It's a very old show. It's called Serial Experiments Lane.
I recognize that name.
Yeah.
Serial Experiments Lane was almost like a psychological concept anime. What it showed was a world that it showed The Wired, which is basically like the online world, and it showed the main character. She first starts, she gets a computer, and she starts hacking it, like physically hacking it, as in like she starts pulling the computer apart. She starts buying new upgrades. She starts doing exactly what I normally do. Well, as time goes on, it shows more of an evolution of what The Wire is. and it shows more about which is effectively the internet, and it shows more and more about the interconnections of people to the internet, the interconnections, and it ends up showing her evolution as a human being and showing the different part of her. And I don't want to spoil anything, but the ending of it, I was watching, and most people I heard talk to said that the ending was like, whatever. The ending just happened. I cried for a week. It impacted me so much that to this day, I still think of the internet as the place that I want to integrate with, to get more information, to be more connected with everyone, to have like it. So if I were to say the most influential favorite anime, it would be Serial Experiments Lain. If I were to go a little less deep and look more towards what is my favorite anime, like recent of like 5 years ago, like of like the big mix for that, that's a hard one too. Because there is a couple that really touched me. Kuzu no Honkai was one of the ones that it was called Scum's Wish. It is one that the character development, the stuff like that, really messed with me because I really connected with one of the characters, and there was a couple memes that went around about the character and stuff like that, but like I just looked at the character and I was like, because I'm a lesbian, right? So anytime that there's character development where the two of them are like finding what it means to really be with each other and stuff like that for two girls, I look at it and I just start thinking about myself being there, and it destroyed me. It's destroyed me. It like utterly, like 3 days of crying and thinking about it and just being like, this affected me. So Kuzo no Honkai was one of them. And another one is just maybe, I guess, I mean, Overlord. Overlord got me. Which again, it's not Overlord itself didn't, like, the anime was good, but that's mainly because I like the light novels and I like seeing the characters develop through there. So that would probably be it. That's my answer. I can't go any further than that. I'm
All
sorry if
right.
it's not the perfect answer, but that's basically it. Otherwise, we'll be here until fucking 10 o'clock. It'll be like gone. Like, I'm sorry.
What's
I'm
that?
so
We
fucking
thought this
sorry.
was gonna be a short thing. No, no, no.
Ah, bullshit. This thing is going crazy, okay? Like, what? I'm sorry. We're not ending anytime soon.
Well, that sounds like you got another tangent up the sleeve because I think that's the last
No.
question I saw in chat.
That's good. I think I need to get some, like,
You
I
need to
have
be free as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to have some ice cream after this to relax my mind. I've overthought things.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of thinking, but you made a lot of good points and just brought up a lot of things that I feel like people might not think about in general. So thank you so much for taking part in this and sharing each and every one of your thoughts as you pleased.
Yep.
For now, though, since we are wrapping up, I think we will just shoot the raid off to Ko as the safe common factor that we know.
Of course.
Yep.
So, thank you for having me, by the way. Like, in this, I'm just gonna put the hands on so I can wave and, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely a heck of a treat to have you on, more so than I was expecting, because well,
Appreciate it.
a lot it doesn't come through sometimes because a lot of the time in stream you're talking about your own thing and you're in your own area, you're comfortable. And when you're here somewhere that's just completely out of the blue and this isn't your, comfort zone. This is an interview table where until, halfway through the interview you are strapped to a mint. Well, it's nice that
I would say it's actually an interrogation.
you know.
So, yeah.
Listen, hopefully it's a friendly interrogation. If
No, bullshit. Have you seen this? You guys don't see what's backstage. I've got 3 racks and a bit of like water torture after.
Wait.
This ain't gonna end tonight.
Did Hamu order those? Hamu was messing around with the system the whole time and stole like all our toilet paper before. Did they order?
She might have mentioned it to me, and I forgot to mention it, by the way.
Explains
Really?
the stickers.
Ay, ay, ay. Well, let's just... We're gonna need to dismantle that back room, apparently, and, how...
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, serious question, how much of a bribe do we gotta give you, like, a lifetime supply of drink big, let you rampage around cities or something, just... let's
Keep
put
in.
the... You'll
I'll
keep
keep
in
in
touch?
touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, we'll figure out how to resolve the backstage incident and the
I
all
totally
that.
wasn't bribed. No.
I Oh wait.
Uh,
You know, we're gonna leave that aside and we'll get back to dealing with that bribe off screen because evidently there's a lot that I'm not going and that I'm not aware about going on in my company. So In the meanwhile though, seriously, Sarah, thank you so much for being an amazing guest for this and being great to talk with.
no problem. Thank you so much for dealing with me.
Oh yeah, dealing with you're heckin' amazing. I'm not dealing with
Yeah, I was
nothing.
about
I'm
to
just having a
say.
good time. Who's the
And thus
guest?
I ruined the status quo for the next 45 interviews.
All right.
Smile.
Ay. Listen, amazing people are going to be amazing, but as long as you don't, like, go backstage and expand on the torture room without my knowledge, we're trying to dismantle it, right? We're trying to get rid of that. Like, why is there even a torture room here?
You're,
Ah.
well, you remember what happens when water freezes in pipes, right?
Oh, no.
I'm gonna shatter that room.
Okay, well, Cloudy, we're going to have to evacuate at least the two of us for a bit, and then
That's
just,
fine. I can just
yeah.
hop dimensions. Remember?
Fortunately, we don't really have employees, so, yeah, you do with that room as you please.
Yeah.
For now, though...
Workers' comp not required. Smile.
Yeah, true.
Although the repair fees afterwards are gonna be oh no.
I can handle that. Don't worry.
Ay. Yes. Thank you everybody for stopping by. We're going to shoot the raid off to someone that is basically the reason why I got to meet Sarah, because I initially found Ko's community, then found Sarah as a result. So, thank you all for stopping by. There was a lot that went on that I couldn't really address during the interview, so I'll just touch on it now. Recital, thank you for the raid, and the three of you that followed afterwards. Lunso6, thank you for the gift sub. Crimson for the bits. Omar for the follow, and Lumi, thank you for the follow as well. I'm glad you found it comfy around here. Take care, everybody. Show Ko some love after the interview, and Sarah, definitely get some good rest and that ice cream you were talking about, huh? Take care, everybody. Goodbye, and raid goes away. Peace.